evaluate the progress you guys made running the ball on Saturday, albeit against an FCS level opponent? How do you balance those two things?
How do we do our job? You know, what was our fundamentals? Was our techniques better? Was our communication better? You know, yes in all those areas. You know, we still had a few miscues and that we need to correct. A couple of MAs where, you know, we got the wrong call, weren't on the same page. But the biggest thing that I was looking for, I saw. You know, we had a lot of guys grade a winner, and, you know, just a lot of fundamental improvement, a lot of technical improvement. And, you know, we got back to the second level a lot without getting touched. And I know we're supposed to do that, but, you know, doing it is another thing. And so I thought they got better, and you know, in their execution and their techniques and their fundamentals up front. And I thought the backs did an awesome job. And it's not that the backs didn't do a good job in the first game. We didn't, you know, really hard to evaluate. We didn't give them much opportunity. But you know, I was proud of everybody involved in the run game.
Dabo, you've been telling us about Will Taylor basically from the first day he stepped on campus this summer. Where do you think you've seen the most growth in him from a guy that's brought athleticism to a guy now that looks like he could be ready to start helping out on Saturdays?
He's already helping out on Saturdays, but he's just, you know, learning what to do. You know, we've been really trying to teach him the foundation of the offense from a quarterback perspective. You know, because again, he can bring some things there, but just have that foundation. You know, as we grow him into another role. He's never played receiver. He's got a lot to learn about just pure playing receiver, but his skill set is really special for it. So he just got a better understanding of the big picture of what's going on. That's where he's grown the most. I mean, he's just been here since the summer, so you know, he's just a baller. He's just one of those kids that gets it, and the moment's never too big for him, and gonna be a good player.
Tony was telling us his nickname is Maverick. Wanted to get your thoughts on that. That's a pretty
yeah, I think Tony nicknamed him Maverick. That's the old, you know, Tom Cruise Top Gun. So I think Ross said he put together some kind of video or spoof or something with that. Probably get a copyright infringement email or something. But yeah, he's just a cool dude. You know, he's just confident. He's unique. And that's what Tony came up with. So pretty good little nickname for him.
Has he made a case for expanding his role in offense?
Yeah, we'll continue to you know, get him touches in different ways as we go through the season. I mean, I threw him in there in the Georgia game. You know, kid's never even played football at this level, and so obviously it says a lot. I wish he'd have pulled it though. If he'd have pulled it, it'd have been a big play. His technique wasn't good. He didn't. We had no ride. You know, we had no click, and so you know, it was just. But first snap, he pulls that ball, he's running, and so he just brings a little different. You got to prepare for it, and there's some things that we can use him with, and you know, definitely as we go through the season, we'll continue to involve him. You know, not overwhelm him, but involve him and capture you know, his abilities. But eventually, you know, he's going to be one of those guys that really can school him up. I think he's going to be a very dynamic player in a lot of different ways, and obviously continue to help us in the return game.
I would imagine you're not ready to give a nickname to Pace or Shipley yet, but how valuable is it to have two guys that kind of have those different styles that you can run in and out, and then even Lynn J offers something a little different too?
Yeah, I think we got it at running back. Well, we got it DN. I think we got a bunch of guys that are good enough to start for us, and you know, who runs out there first, you know, be different from week to week. But I think those guys are. We got three guys that can start for us. We thought that for sure in camp, and man, Kobe, the improvement he's made has been awesome. He had an unbelievable spring, a great summer. He's explosive. He's physical. You know, he's an incredibly disciplined, committed, you know, person and player. And the same thing with Shipley. You know, Shipley is a Swiss Army knife. He is powerful as they come. He runs. He's relentless for every single yard. He breaks tackles. He runs through the trash. And, all those guys can catch the ball. Obviously, Linjay has got great experience. He's had big plays. They all three, have the ability to help us. And that's why everybody asks. I don't really ever see a situation where those guys aren't going to play. Just like I don't see any situation. We got 5 DNs. I don't see any situation where those guys don't play. Is Justin Foster a 5th-team guy? I don't think so. We just got good players, and those guys all have the opportunity to play, and the focus is for them to play well when they play. So I think we're really fortunate at running back because we got and I think y'all going to see that as we go through the season. I mean, these are really good players. And, as I said the other day with Dukes is really talented. His thing is just consistently being able to trust him, with really executing, within the system and taking care of the ball and all those things. But he's still a young player too. And then Rencher brings everything to the table every single time. You know exactly what you're getting with him. You can trust him. You depend on him. And that's why we held Maffa. Wait till you see Maffa. Wait till you see him. He's as good as anybody we have, truly. But it's, we're just trying to hopefully be able to create a little separation there, but we'll see how it goes throughout the season. That's just where we are today. But I'm excited about our backs and what we have there.
With somebody like Maffa, do you guys have like a grid? Okay, this is a week we want to play in, this is a week, or do you take it sort of week by week?
Week by week. Yeah, it's kind of hard to have a grid and say, okay, this week injuries determine those things. Any issues with players, injuries, guys playing to the standard that we talk about. All those things could dictate change. The production that we're getting, the types of games, how do the games go? I mean, we don't know. I just know in that moment Saturday, it wasn't a game that we wanted to play him in. And again, that's a week to week type of thing. But we keep him up. We're keeping him up. He's not with the scout. I mean, he's ready to play every week, and so if we need him, he'll be ready to roll. And at some point, he definitely will play, because I'd like to hold him if I can, but I don't know that we'll be able to do that. But for sure, we get 4 games. So, it may be a barn burner, 27 to 24 game, and he's played in that game. I don't know. It'd be truly a week-to-week deal.
After the Georgia game, you said Rook showed that he really belonged. Obviously, he had to work through a lot of injuries and things like that. I mean, how much patience and perseverance did you see from him in terms of just building up to the point he's at now, considering everything he went through?
Yeah, a lot. And, when we signed him, we knew he was I hate to use the word project, but that's what he was. He played 2 years of football. He was a soccer player, a basketball kid, and with 2 years of football under his belt, and a guy that was just kind of blossoming. Like, whoa, this guy's got. He just had this great skill set, but he had so much to learn. So, he red shirts, just nowhere near ready, and doesn't know how to play. And then last year's a redshirt freshman, he gets hurt, and But he just kept grinding, kept working, and you can just see it as he was really. The best part is while he was not playing, he was learning and still developing. He wasn't wasting time. He wasn't just on the shelf collecting dust. He was mentally preparing himself. He was learning through other people's experience. He was paying attention. And, I saw it this spring. I was like, this guy's got a chance to be a really good player. And he carried it right through the summer, right into fall camp, and then, man, he got a huge opportunity against Georgia and did great. And he was our player of the game. He and Skowski were the MVPs of the defense, and Shipley and Putnam were our MVPs on offense this past week, and Will Taylor was the special teams MVP. So that just goes to show you, he's played 2 games and played really well against Georgia and was the player of the game this past week. So he's got a bright future. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's still learning. but love everything about what he brings to the table.
What specifically did Putnam show to earn that distinction?
He played great. I mean, he played, the way he's normally plays. I mean, Putnam had a tremendous camp. He got better and better last year, but he had a great camp. Very, very consistent, very detailed. He's technically usually very good, and he's a grinder, man. I mean, he's a to the whistle, through the whistle type guy, and I love that about him. Just has a great mentality. But he didn't play well in the Georgia game. He was disappointed for whatever reason. Just didn't play with good technique, and but man, he bounced back, and it was good to see him. And he played outstanding, graded great, and just very, very consistent and clean football game from him.
Dabo, I think there were a few fumbles, or you got most of them back, but just balling it up on the ground Saturday, is that a concern, an issue, or something you guys have talked about?
Oh, no, it's definitely a concern. I mean, ball security is number one way to get beat, for sure. And we had a lot of balls on the ground, but we were very fortunate to only lose one. So yeah, we teach from it, teach the fundamentals. The one with Mikey, the classic BIJ, ball in jeopardy, trying to swim a guy, balls out here away from your body, that's ball in jeopardy, and so just fundamentals, just fundamental stuff. But we got to do a better job for sure in that area. Played 2 games, and we won the margin in the first game and got beat. They had one more big play than us. And in this game, we lost the margin and won, but the margin for error was was bigger for us, so we were able to overcome that. So it's not something we want to make a habit of. We want to win that turnover margin every single week, for sure. So that's an area we got to definitely improve.
Dabo, Tony said yesterday that he's changed a couple of things with Galloway's strike technique as a blocker, and kind of wants to see him hand placement, that kind of stuff. Just what's your assessment been of the progress Braden has made as a blocker? Yeah,
he's getting better. The biggest thing I love about Braden is he's very willing. He's a very willing guy. He's a tough kid, and he didn't show up here. That wasn't a natural thing for him. Coming in here. He was a basketball player and more of a wideout. I'm proud of him. It's very important to him. He's very coachable. He cares. He really wants to do it. He knows that's what he has to put on tape to really reach his potential, because he's definitely a guy that can play at the next level, but he's got to continue to develop there, and he has, and will continue to do more. So he's still growing into all that stuff, but really, really proud of just, again, his attitude, his effort, his willingness, and his coachability.
What's your evaluation of your offensive line depth, I guess, 6 through 9 right now, from what you've seen?
Like I said, I hate we lost John early, but at least it was in camp, and we had a lot of time in camp to get, the other guys a ton of work. Taquan, same thing. Taquan would have really coming in here. He would have really, been a guy to help us, but I think he made, one day, and he was out. So, Dietrich is a big blow, because I think he was on his way to really becoming a very consistent contributor for us, and a definite big time depth guy. So that's a loss. We're going to get Trotter back. So we are getting him, even though he's going to have he'll be clubbed up for a little while, on his right hand there. But he's a very Trotter's a very functional player, and that's how he got here. Just a very fundamentally, technically sound guy, tough, strong, understands the game, and so that's a positive. But I think Dietrich was one of those guys that we had a lot of high hopes for. But as far as our backup guys, I thought Mitchell Mays played really, really well this past week in his first significant time. He did a really nice job. He's had a really good camp. The arrow's up by his name. T.O. has made a lot of progress. T.O. can really do it. He's just still, developing consistency in his game, but I feel good about him. We really like Trent Howard. He's still developing physically. He's, got 4 years left, and a guy that I think is going to be a very good player, understands the game. He went in and did a nice job snapping the ball for us and just communicating and directing the traffic. So he's a savvy, high football IQ guy. And then Rayburn. Rayburn he's a little bit of a putty guy right now, playing center, playing guard, playing tackle. He's a big athlete, and so he brings some really good things to the group. So just good to get those guys. We got Rayburn in there early. We got T.O. in there early. We got Mitchell in there pretty early, and I think that was good for them, to get some really good, meaningful work, and got in there with the ones. But we're still developing there. But we're a lot better than we were this time last year. I can tell you that. We're from a depth standpoint, we are a lot better. We're getting worse though. We're losing Dietrich, that's for sure. But between Trotter and T.O. and Mays and Howard and Rayburn, I think we got a good little group coming on right there.
Johnson definitely out for the year.
Take one?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd be surprised. Maybe postseason. Be maybe best case scenario.
Dabo, are there any option principles left in the offense Georgia Tech runs now, or is it just completely different?
Oh no. There's a lot of option principles for our defense against these guys. Very similar to last week, to be honest with you. They had a lot of option principles to what they do, and same thing with Georgia Tech. I mean, they'll definitely challenge you. They're not from a traditional option stance, but from how they want to get the ball on the perimeter, get outside of you, formation you, zone read, the RPO stuff. I mean, it's a lot of similar stuff. Backside, your D-tackle, when they run that stretch, your backside tackles, not getting cut down and dividing the defense in half. I mean, there's a lot of things that carry over, but not like the triple option. But a lot of these spread teams, there's option principles built into it. Even us, with how you have to defend us or defend the opponent.
Do we have anything from anybody on Zoom?
Hey Dabo, this is Anna with Clemson 24/7. I think those three guys you mentioned have right guard experience. Who would be the main candidates right now to back up Putnam?
Well, Trotter's back, so he would be the one of the main guys. Rayburn, so it's the same guys. T.O., Rayburn, Trotter can all play guard, either one. Those guys are all cross-trained. We don't really have anybody that just has a home, So Putnam's pretty much just played right guard in our first group, but those guys can all, move. So, but that'd be the guys. It'd be Rayburn, T.O., Trotter, Trent Howard. Those four guys would. Tucker, I forgot about Tucker. Tucker's making a little bit of improvement as well. So that whole group still young, but coming along. A bunch of redshirt freshmen.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you, Coach.
All right.